This is Matchweek. You are joined by myself, Artie Amini. We discuss everything soccer from the highs and the lows in the sporting week to the news that is relevant to you.
And we're back. This is Match Week. Guys, I am brought to you with Kenny Campin. Kenny, say what's up.
How's it going, guys?
My friend.
And returning guest 2 weeks in a row, surprisingly, Christian Vriones. Christian, say what's up.
Hey.
Hey. And today we're going over the topic I hinted at last week, which is college soccer and how it exactly works in the U.S. and how these players are sort of recruited, how they play, and how basically the whole gist of it, right? So, real quickly, guys, tell me, how long have you both been playing college soccer for?
You start. Well, I guess, technically, I pretty much really started in August, this August, didn't I? Because, we'll get into it further. So I guess only about one season now. I've been in the system for about 3, but I've only been playing ball for 1.
Yeah.
Ken?
Yeah, so I actually started in fall of 2017, which is now technically 5 years ago.
That was when we were playing high school soccer.
Yeah, that was still my junior year, my friend.
It seems like forever to go.
Yeah,
Really
so
does.
Kenny, so explain to me, how were you recruited exactly?
So my situation was a little bit complicated, not in terms of getting recruited, but in terms of wanting to get recruited. So originally, I always knew I wanted to play college soccer. My parents didn't really want me to because they wanted me to focus on school. And I knew I wanted to play, so I knew I kind of was not total. Basically, had to do it on my own. And I didn't start the recruitment process, which most athletes start their sophomore, junior year in high school.
Yeah.
But I didn't start mine till senior year, and it was after my senior year of high school. I broke my nose and I missed most of my season. And
Really?
And yeah, and I was the captain. Was one of the main guys, and it was very frustrating and a little upsetting because I didn't really get to finish with all my friends and stuff, which was another big motivation to want to play in college. So probably in November, I was I really want to play college soccer. It's not too late. So what I started doing was, I spoke to my dad and he helped me out a bit too. I just went to ID camps. I went to Fairleigh Dickinson D1 in Teaneck. Seton Hall. I just went to a bunch of ID camps and I would go to them, which that's basically just
And then, question, you were still playing club at the time, yeah?
Yes, I was still playing club.
You were playing for Jersey Crew at this point, or?
So I was actually playing for WPSA at this point.
WPSA, okay.
In the summer before that, I was actually playing for Ironbound.
Okay.
But I stopped Ironbound that summer, and then because I wasn't really sure what was going on with it, so I just stuck with WPSA. But really, in the winter, I really wasn't doing much. I was just going to ID camps, and I remember just emailing all college coaches in the area, telling them I was going to the camps. And then I know, one ID camp I went to, I had a bunch of college coaches. They were coming to watch. One was Caldwell. They were interested, and FDU Madison was one of them as well. So after the one ID camp, one of the coaches. He emailed me and said, they were interested. So I went into FDU. I saw the campus. I loved it. I knew I was already applying there. So I was going to go. And then FDU had their own ID camp. I went there. They did it. They still liked me. And then ultimately I made the decision. I was either going to go to Seton Hall. I didn't get recruited by Seton Hall. So I knew if I went to Seton Hall, I wasn't going to play college soccer. FDU, I had a good opportunity to play. And once they told me I was going to play, and I kind of was set on going to FDU, that's kind of where I made my decision. It was around February, March of my senior year, which is February, March 2017. I made a decision to go play college soccer.
Nice. So my question is that as all the viewers know, or for those of you who don't know, Besmir, he's one of the coaches for FDU, the assistant coach, and I'm just curious, when did your guys' path cross, right? Because I know I've seen you play with him a lot for Jersey Crew. You've been heavily involved in a lot of stuff he's done. So where did that translate into? Because I genuinely thought you had played for Jersey Crew and that sort of helped you at college showcases and stuff, give attention. So where exactly did that relationship start and meet?
So actually, I met Besmir. I'm not sure if he knew who I was before we met.
Mm-hmm.
He might have. I wasn't 100%, but I met him. So I was actually already committed to FDU, and I was playing the game for WPSA in my spring season of 2017, and Besmir was reffing one of the games.
Okay.
And that game, so he actually knew one of my friends on my team, Zach Fitzgerald. Not sure if any of you guys know him. But he wanted Zach to come to FDU, and he was on my team. And that game, actually, I remember I scored 2 goals that game, too. And, and then that's where some said, I remember my friend told me, he's like, yeah, this Besmir, the ref, he plays at FDU. So after the game, we exchanged information. And he just said, like, oh, he'd help me, like, meet some of the players and kind of, get adjusted, to the transition to FDU. He said, eventually, like, he showed me around campus. And he got me to play some pickup games with some of the guys. So I actually met Besmir post committing to playing at FDU, but he kind of, helped to nurture me in and bring me in. And I knew he had Jersey Crew too, and he told me that he definitely wanted me to get involved in Jersey Crew. And eventually that's when I became involved in Jersey Crew after meeting Besmir.
Nice, okay. So here's the thing, right? So the recruiting process, it's like 50-50 for a lot of kids, right? So it's either they're hit with the, you're a scholarship player, blah, 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 whatever. Or a lot of times, like, people don't know this, but you just, whatever school you plan on committing to, you can always just reach out to the coach of that school.
Yes.
You could always just, like, say, like, send an email or, like, whatever and be like, hey, I'm very interested in playing for your I'm planning on going to whatever school in the fall, and I'm really interested in your soccer program. Is there any chance I can reach out to you about, like, how the team plays and all this stuff? So that's the thing a lot of kids don't know about. You can straight up, like, reach out to the programs because everybody always thinks, like, they're going to get that magic letter in the mail, right? So I think, well, Christian, for you experienced this, correct? Because your situation was a little bit different in comparison to most people's.
Oh, yeah. I mean, going in, I guess, June of 2018, I already had my pick in. I was going to Kane. So I guess by February I knew. That was when I started. I mean, while I was applying to schools, I was also, every single coach. I'd go on the athletics website, men's soccer. I'd just go right to the coach's email, and I'd just email him. I had the same preset email that just said, "Dear Coach Blank," and then I'm very interested in playing for your team. I'd like to learn more about the program. If we could set up like a visit. So there was all that. I got a bunch of emails back. I ended up applying and getting accepted to Kane, which is where I went. He took me through like a whole recruitment process, the whole like the signing the paper and like taking the picture, all that stuff. And it's are we just on the recruitment process right now?
Well, yeah, because right now that's what I'm saying. I want to figure out, like, because for you it's a little different, right? Because so you like were recruited, you go and do everything, and then what happens is that, if I'm not mistaken, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you got cut because of an ankle injury, correct?
Yeah. So I made it through all of the preseason. So we were into the regular season already, and I hurt my ankle really bad. I don't remember exactly what happened. Twisted it doing something in training, and I was out for, a good 2.5 weeks. And by that time, I remember he called me into the office. I knew it was happening because I was out of commission completely. And he said, we can't carry dead weight right now. That's literally what he said. He was like off the boat from Jamaica, Jamaican coach, all business. It was cool. But yeah, he just said, we can't have dead weight, come back in the spring. That was it. Which is the craziest thing I've ever experienced. Because high school, I don't know, like in your high school, did they do cuts?
They did do cuts in high school.
They did, right? Dude, we had, like I remember last podcast we would talk about it. We had like a 30-man roster at some point, and we did no cuts. Not one.
Yeah, but that was 30 for both JV and varsity, though, no?
No. It was the JV team my freshman year.
Wait, are you talking about Kane, or are you talking about...
No, for Butler, for high school.
Oh, yeah, well...
We had like a 30-man roster. We didn't make a single cut. We had like 28 guys pull in for Kane. And he only took 22. Just like that.
Which I respect way more out of coaches, right?
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
If you look at, like, for example, your Montclairs or even FDU at the moment, or a few other, like, college teams, it's known that you have at least 29 kids on your roster.
Yeah. Right? I loved having the small roster. Because going in, once I was all done, did my fall semester, came back in the spring. We trained with 19 guys, and that was it. If someone got injured, it drastically screwed our numbers, you know. So
I think that's why they put the rosters so big, right? It's it's the in case of injury because so you two, just like spoiler alert, but they play together at FDU, right? You guys played together this past fall season.
Yeah.
And the one thing I noticed with you guys, you had suffered a lot of injury problems with a lot of your players.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it was really bad. It was, I remember with all the COVID-19 protocol that we went through, because we had a few issues with that, which a lot of teams did.
Yeah.
We lost like half of our roster. So
yeah, because that's where like it makes sense of like, okay, these college soccer teams, they have like 29 kids rostered, but like it's constantly being rotated. No one's like a guarantee. Whereas like, let's say for example, your like Montclairs or NJITs or some of these other schools, they have like a 30-man roster, but they have their starting 11 and maybe 2 subs, and that's it.
So what we did was we had a first, second, and third team?
Yeah.
Or something. So the first team was always starting 11, the guys who were going to start.
Yeah.
Second team was the guys who were going to get subbed in.
Yeah.
Third team, and this is what was like so upsetting for some of the kids, because it was like, it went from first team to second team, and the first team and second team were pretty well meshed in, because a lot of the season I was on the second team, so I would expect to go in every game. Just some of the other guys, they would expect to go in. Some guys were on the third team, and they were just like joking around, and like, I mean, not to say anything bad. I love all the guys on the team, but like when you put someone like on a third team kind of thing, they're not even expecting to play.
It degrades them a little bit.
So why would you expect them to train hard? You know?
Well, yeah.
I don't really know where I'm going with this.
I think,
yet,
just to your point, because you're talking about like the big roster size, right?
Yeah.
It's that the whole point of having that setup of like a first team, third team, like second team, third team is that if you're on that third team, it's like, you know what? Hey, maybe put a little more effort. Like, I think that's the point. Whereas, like, I understand, like, right, like joking around, like, you're still trying to find enjoyment with the people you love training with, right? Because at the end of the day, because like a college soccer team is more of a brotherhood than anything else. So it's
100%.
And,
so it's like you're finding the best of what you can get out of the program, right? Yeah. And it's all about like, you know, like even if I'm not playing, at least, hey, let me like joke around with this guy or like talk to this coach or figure something out.
Yeah, absolutely. And that would tie it back into my experience at Kane, especially in the spring, having the little numbers that we had was we
so
got 2 people got injured.
My question is that when did you stop like playing for Kane? Out of my career, because I remember the few times I visited, you were just only dorming and then going to class for a little bit, but you weren't really playing anymore. So how did that exactly happen?
So that was after spring. I knew I wanted to transfer. That was just after the spring season. I was like, this is not my thing, right?
Well, but you were there for more than a year, though, no?
Yeah, I was there for the spring or the fall that I went in. I made it through the preseason, got injured, all that. Then the spring after that, I played in the spring, and then the next fall was my last semester. So that was my last one.
Didn't you transfer? I remember this. You transferred August of 2020, right?
Was it in the summer?
Yeah, it was in the summer of 2020. I remember because for those of you who don't know, like Besmir, I had like sort of like put some hints about Christian, like a lot of times like Besmir or anyone I talked to.
Oh, that's
right. I knew was involved with college soccer.
No, that's
so
right.
So a lot of times I'd be like, hey, you know, like this player is interested in switching schools in case you guys want him for your program. Like, look at him, you know.
Yeah, maybe I did go in this. Yeah, I did go in the spring.
You went summer of 2022.
So maybe I took a year off instead of one semester. It's all.
It's a blur
it's such a blur now because
2020 feels like just yesterday, but it's already almost 2 years ago.
Yeah,
you know, so.
yeah. And I mean, it's like it's such a blur too because I have everything put together at FDU now. So you know I have like the college career, all the guys there, my class schedule, everything. Like it's just so meshed together now. We're at Kane. Like I would worry about like mixing my class because as a freshman too, you know, being a freshman is so confusing as a college student. So yeah, it's all really just one big cloud out the window now.
What was like the moment that made you want to take a break? Like that made you think like, let me just give this a rest. Like I want to just focus on myself a little bit.
What, soccer?
Yeah, like from college soccer and things like that.
I think the fall. So I've always been the which is most guys really on FDU and at Kane as well. I was always the massive fish in the tiny pond. So like coming out of Butler, I was one of the more talented guys on that team. So scoring 15 goals a season, I was like, okay, I'm on top of the world, right? I'd go to Kane. I was the smallest guy, slowest guy, and like everybody was so much better than me, so much faster, and I was like,
because that's
oh
the thing I think people don't understand is like there's a difference between being like a soccer player and an athlete. And a lot of times, college soccer teams will prioritize the athlete over the soccer player.
Yeah, and which is what it was. Yeah.
I mean, like, granted, it makes sense, right? Because you have to be, like, in top form, playing multiple times a week, training multiple times a week. Like, you have to be an actual athlete.
Yeah, and that's what was so dangerous is because when I walked into Kane, I was 5'9", 170. The way I am now, still really, but oh no, I was even lighter at the time. I was 5'9", 155 or something. So I was a skinny guy. Going up against 6'4", like 200-pound center backs.
Yeah, it's tough.
I'd never seen that before. The center backs that I'd go up against were also babies in high school. So
well,
I
like,
walked
for
into
example,
that
there's times where it was just like referring back to last week when you and I were talking about this. Like when we played, I was one of the bigger guys on the pitch. I'm only like 6'1". So like imagine coming up against a guy that's like 3 inches, 4 inches taller than me is just.
Dude, it was a scary sight. And like when I talked to my dad about it a bunch, I still do. He even tells me that I was just not on my game. You know, I remember the fall and even in the spring, I'd walk into these 6'4", 6'5" guys, and I was like, well, what do you expect me to do? Hold the ball? Like, no, I don't want to get hit. You know, when in reality, now that I play with big guys like Chenzo, Jack, the center backs on FDU, you know, you start to realize that these guys still want to play soccer. They're not just going to go and put their cleat in your back, you know? So,
I mean, it depends on the guy. You know?
Yeah, it really does, especially here. But, yeah, you just gotta. It's all about confidence, and I had none at Cade, and I think that ties into what made me want to take a break. I lost all my confidence, and I was like, this just isn't for me, you know. And then I think it was the fall or the spring before transferring. I would talk to you a lot.
Yeah,
and you're the one that really made me like, dude. You were like, just start playing again. So I started playing, got in crazy shape, and I fell back in love with it, I guess. So. It ended up being a great decision, you know. But yeah, coming from Kane, it's so different, you know.
So now transferring from your first like year and a half of soccer, Kenny, let's go to you, right? So your first year and a half at FDU playing, how did it go?
So I remember when I first came in, you know, it's kind of like being how I kind of viewed it was. I viewed it in terms of like high school. Say you're a freshman in high school. It's almost like you're a freshman, just try and go right to the varsity team. And it's not an easy transition because you have guys that, you know, you're 17, 18 going into college. You have guys there like, you know, 21, 22. I remember we had one kid that was 25 playing because he was a couple of years. So you're going, and as a senior in high school, you're 17, 18. And you're playing against kids that are like could be 15, 16 that are playing on varsity. So if you think about it, you know, you're playing, the age difference could jump like 6-7 years. So it's a huge transition that, you know, not a lot of people take into consideration.
I think that's why like a lot of times these like college teams will recruit the natural athletes because they don't know. Yeah. Like because sadly at the end of the day it can't be all about the technique and the way how you play because these guys they could be like how Christian said 6'4", like 250 pounds, like monsters. Absolutely. So it's all about being able to handle yourself and have that like fitness, and then they think about like, you know, your actual talent later on. You know.
Yeah. You're just going from, you know, playing kids to playing men. And I remember, too, when I came in, actually my freshman year, because I ended up starting and having the most minutes played on the team, but I remember in our preseason, we had a legit preseason, so we had like 10 days of double sessions, and we had 3 scrimmages, and going from like high school to that was crazy. And I remember the first 2 scrimmages, I didn't step foot on the field, and it was tough. I didn't know what was going on. And I knew like I wasn't at my best. I remember I used to hit up Besmere. I was like, wow. I was like, you know, I don't think I might even play or like might get cut or something. And Bez was like, don't worry, you know, just keep on trying, keep going. And that kind of motivated me too. And I remember by the time our 3rd scrimmage hit, I remember I started the first half. I got to start because I just started going. I think one thing that helped me was during a preseason it's tough, but I didn't play the scrimmages, right? And those are 90-minute scrimmages. And those almost were like a rest to me. So by the time we had our next session, I was like full of energy, and some of the players were tired. So I kind of pushed me to like, I don't know if they want to take it easy or whatever. I just went all out, and I had a rest, and I just played well in the practices. Then by the time we had our 3rd scrimmage, I started. And I actually remember one time in that scrimmage, I got my ankles broken. But I still, besides that, I played fairly well.
Mm-hmm.
By the time our first game came around, my first collegiate game, as 18 years old, we played Stockton, who were a pretty good team. I remember I knew some kids on the team because a couple of them were actually some D1 transfers.
Mm-hmm.
But I played the whole game, and I remember my coach came up to me. He's like, you played very well. He's like, to be honest, it didn't look like your first college game. You just fit in automatically. And from that moment, every game, I ended up starting. There was one moment in the middle of the season where I got hurt in a game, and the next game I didn't start. And it was crazy because it was like I felt like that was my position. But, you get hurt. I was out for 30 minutes. Someone came in. He played better than me. The next game he started. And then after 2 games, in the middle of the game, he got hurt. So then I went back in the position, and I had like 35 minutes to play. Then I played super well. Then I continued to play.
Mm-hmm.
And that first season, all I could remember was, all I really knew was that like your job was never safe. It wasn't like high school. Nothing was guaranteed. And it was every week going in and out. You had to work hard to keep starting. And it was really just a mental game. And I could tell for some players on the team where they were struggling with that aspect.
Mm-hmm.
But even after so you're talking about like the first year and a half, like my first 2 years. After my first year, I kind of got a feel for it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was starting. Then the spring came along. And then one of our other players who didn't start, he wanted to play outside back, which is where I was playing.
Mm-hmm.
He came in the spring and he started playing better than me. I was really nervous. I was like, the way this is going, like, looking in the fall, like I know, although I started, like right now, like in the spring, he played better than me. He probably has my spot. And over the summer, he tore his ACL, and not that I was like happy about it, but like he was my friend, and I was kind of upset, but it almost
it was
put
like
me
trying to find like a silver lining to it, right? It's like
exactly.
It sucks that he's gone, but like now it sort of like gives me time to shine. I know what you're saying. Yeah.
Exactly. I felt like I was like, you know what? Well, yeah, in the spring he was balling outside back, but I mean, like I'm there. And another thing that that we can take into consideration, and I'm definitely going to go back and tell some of the FDU guys about this, is that every year of college, it's not a big turnaround of players coming back. You have people that transfer out, people that transfer in, people that quit in the spring or the summer,
mm-hmm.
people that just decide to play, and freshmen coming in. Nothing is ever guaranteed. And going into my sophomore season, I almost got lucky. I mean, I don't know how it would have been going in and whether if you wanted to stay outside back or go forward. I don't know. But I got my position back. But the first game of the season, I got a concussion against Stevens. And that was how my season went. I remember I tried
mm-hmm.
coming back. And even when I tried coming back, it was hard to play because my concussion was bothering me. And someone had jumped in my outside back spot. And it was sort of hard to me fight it back anyway. But my concussion was too bad, and I had to take the season off, and I had the red shirt. So and I remember that was it was very disappointing because I felt like, when you work hard and an injury takes you out, it's not easy to deal with. But that was how like my first 2 seasons went, and I think the injury kind of motivated me to work hard towards my third year, which I won't get into yet. But the first 2 years was definitely a big challenge, and mm-hmm. I will say, like, there are many times that I know, for me, it felt like my first year almost went perfectly, but it didn't fall into place. I just remember the mental game of just like I said, like getting every single week. Like I remember like mid-season we had to do our fitness tests, and like no one wanted to do it, and everyone was done. They were like, "Are you serious? We're gonna do a fitness test?" It was before conference play, and I was like, "Well, like I did the fitness test. We used to do the beep test, and I won it." And for me, it just made me look like I was trying hard as a player. Which this was our old coach, before Keith, which he liked, and that's the reason why like I continued to play too. But there were games where like some of the other freshmen, like they lost their starting spot and they would have to fight for it back. But between like the mental battle and just like the fitness of the game, the first 2 years was very challenging. Although
mm-hmm.
like everyone asked me how it was like, yeah, I started, I play a lot. That's like the you see like an iceberg. Like I just tell them the tip of the iceberg, but there was so much that went on below it, where like sometimes like I didn't want to play and want to do this, and the mental game was one of the biggest parts about it that almost really killed me, especially getting my concussion sophomore season. It just killed me. But at the end of the day, I'll look back at it and I'll see the good parts of my first 2 years. But go looking back at it, the mental game was it really killed me. But that's how it is, though. That's how it is.
For sure. Now, before we get into more, guys, we have to hear a word from our main sponsor of the show, ITA Sports. So we'll be back in just a moment to hear from them.
Hello, guys. How are we doing today? I'm sorry. I know I had to stop the podcast and give you guys an ad read. Already, stop it. Look, I have something very important to tell you about, okay? We are sponsored by ITA Sports. Yes, that's right, ITA Sports. Now, you guys are wondering, what's an ITA Sports? What do they offer for you? Well, they're a local business based out of Boonton, New Jersey, where they're on Boonton Main Street, if you guys even want to check them out. And what they are is a place where you can either get some cool, different apparel than your like average Adidas or Nike, Under Armour, Puma, that jazz. And they go more with like the Arayas, the Yomas, the Hummel. And how can we forget the Umbro? Guys, they have way more to offer than I can even list off. All you have to do is go to itasportshop.com. That's itasportshop.com. itasportshop.com. And if you're a team or a business, local business, any team, they actually do wholesale apparel orders for you, as you can see on screen if you're viewing, but if you're listening, I'll describe it even better. They make apparel that is best and fitting for you, that is comfortable, and even so, sometimes the price is better than what you'll get from actually trying to get an Adidas or a Nike or anyone else. And all you have to do is just go to itasportshop.com. And then now, guys, hey, you know what? In the future, they might have some promos or some more stuff for us to give away and work with. But we have to see how we do this episode for the ad. So please go check it out. Go see it because they have really cool stuff to offer. I'll see you guys later. Bye.
And we're back. Sorry for the quick break, but we're back into it. So, guys. So, Ken, your junior year was sort of like a significant year of change for FDU, correct? Because that's when you had a new coach come in, someone sort of changed the program. And how did that go? Because you're fresh off a concussion, you have a new coach, and what is the expectations like for that season?
So, yeah, when my sophomore season, when I had my concussion, our coach got fired 2 weeks after the season ended, maybe earlier. And then we were a couple months without a coach. We were training on our own. And then spring came around, and we knew we were getting a new coach soon. And it came in around February, before our spring season. And when we got our new coach, which is our current coach now, Keith O'Connor, all the players on the team kind of knew it was a blank slate. So everyone that started or had, captain or anyone before, whatever position you were playing, the coach came in and knew very little about us. And everyone that didn't play, it was a great opportunity. So it was almost like starting all over from college. Yeah. It almost felt like transferring, because this coach came from Centenary, so he was almost like getting a new style of soccer. It almost felt like transferring into a new college, but with the same players. Yeah. That's kind of how it felt.
Type of thing, a new program, yeah.
Yeah, like a whole new program, and for the best, because we needed to pick things up. And going in our spring season, no one really knew what to expect, and it was good training, good to get to know our coach. But going into the fall with our first season, this was fall of 2019, my junior year, I was coming off concussion, and I knew for me it was frustrating because I didn't know how the season was going to go. I knew I always started in the past, but it was I had to, working over the summer and with the team, everyone knew they were fighting for positions, and it was the same thing. I just just came in with a strong mentality, and I ended up, the first few games I didn't start, actually, which was kind of frustrating. Then we had some defensive issues, and about the third game of the season, me and another player, Jack Zaretsky, who also starts all the time, me and him came in on defense, and we ended up starting the whole season. It was our best season that we had there, so it was good, getting to know the new coach. But, we had some players that didn't like the coach, some players that liked the coach, and some players left because it was going to a new program. Some players didn't like it, and the whole process of getting a new coach and almost having a new program. So some people, they couldn't take it.
Because the thing is that a lot of things that people don't realize is that these colleges are sort of ran actual soccer clubs. There's transfers and there's all this stuff happening, and I think it's just in the climate of football in general is that anytime like someone new comes into a program and changes the whole program, things change for everybody, right?
Yes.
Because there's some people who have the expectation of like this dream that was like sold to them by the original coach, and like they want certain things to happen that go for them, but then when the new guy comes in, it's a whole different ball game.
100%, because you know what, a lot of the things that happened was, you know, our old coach, he's the one that recruited me. He's the one that wanted me to come to the school and play for the program. Mm-hmm. The new coach, he didn't know who I was. You know what I mean? He didn't want me to come play. So everyone on the team had to prove themselves. Mm-hmm. And that whole transition was tough. And even though as a first year we were all right, it was better. Going into the spring, we knew we had a lot of work to get done. And then, you know, 2 weeks before our spring season started, we went into spring break. And, you know, this was kind of like middle of March 2020, and, you know, rumors of the coronavirus are going around.
Yeah.
I personally thought nothing of it. I thought it was like a 2-week thing and we were going to be done. And then, you know, middle of spring break, we're not going back to school. Season's canceled, and there's no spring soccer. And then it was just like a total shock. And that's when the whole pandemic started. And I know it was probably for a lot of programs, but for like a soccer standpoint, you know, it was like, okay, now we have no spring season, and, you know, it's going to take us into the summer. And it was like you had to do stuff on your own too to stay in shape, which was hard. I remember like every day I either you know, lifted, because I had a whole workout thing in my basement, me and my dad put together. I either worked out in my basement or was running every day through the quarantine, and that was all you could really do. And it was a tough time. It really was. Yeah,
quarantine was really, really tough, because especially Christian and I, we had just come back from a mile high of going to Montreal. That was the last trips that we took, and we go from being somewhere where everything's normal, like life is life, to coming back, and then boom, you just lucked out that the border didn't close on you while you were coming back.
Yeah,
you know?
I remember,
crazy.
Just to tap in on that quick, we went from the night of the 12th, or March 12th, going to a club packed with people.
Yeah, like I would say it's like 200 to 300 people.
300 people.
Wow. It's crazy.
The next day, we're constantly on the phone with my mom and dad, your mom and dad, everybody, thinking, are we going to even get back into the U.S.? We
were crazy. We were thinking, because the people that were running the Airbnb, they were trying to give us a deal of like, oh, we'll give you 2 more days for X amount, because they knew they were about to lose money. They knew they were going to like shut down, lose everything. It's like, oh, we'll give you a discounted rate of this much if you just stay for 2 more days. And we decided that, actually, I remember it was me yelling at everybody. Because, like, for some reason, like, I like to be the dad of the group and, like, no, bad idea. But, like, it was just, like, guys, like, we have to seriously think, like, yes, this place is fun. Yes, we love it here. But everything's about to shut down just like how it is in Jersey. So we have to be careful and get back. So, like, managing that in general, I have a question for you. So, when COVID hit, you switched schools, right?
Yeah.
So
that was about the time.
What was the thing that made you want to switch schools? Was it that like the online classes, or did you feel like you didn't really like belong at Kane anymore? Like, what was the thing that made you switch?
I mean, a lot of it was I was just over it. You know, dorming, not playing soccer, because at that point I was really getting back into the game. So I was just like, you know, Kane's not for me. I don't want to dorm really far away from home. I don't get to see my friends often. I had friends at Kane, but they weren't like my close friends. You know, I knew them for less than a year. So, for me, it was just I would rather just go home. You know, start fresh, go to a team that I could restart with, continue my major at FDU. So, I think it was March 13th was the day we got back, and that was the day that the quarantine started.
Was it like March 16th or something?
No, it was something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It was the middle of March around.
Yeah, it was definitely middle of March.
Yeah.
So here's the thing, right? So how does recruiting go during COVID, right? Like, how does where do you even make plans for that? Like, was there an expectation for a fall season? Was there an expectation to even continuously playing in maybe a bubble? Like, what was the idea being spread around, like, between you two?
Oh, the cancellations. Just
only cancellations,
canceled,
nothing?
Canceled. Yeah, I remember the some of the meetings that we had on Zoom. They were all about, you know, well, the season's canceled, but we might do a tournament. Or the season's canceled, but we might train. We might have 5-person trainings, and then another 5, and then another 5, and just spread out the whole training session throughout small groups throughout a day. None of those ever really happened.
No, they never did happen.
Tournament or anything like that.
That type of stuff is hard to get approved, like, on the fly, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It is,
absolutely. but yeah, I went from that to so your junior year, that was the start of COVID, or was
Yes,
it
my spring of junior year was the start of COVID, and I think I remember going into that summer of 2020, mid COVID. You know, me and Christian, we were playing an NJ Play League with like Besmere and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I remember just talking to him. You kept on asking me about like FDU, like you know how is it there? Like, you think I could come? Can I play and stuff? Was there? And I remember telling him, was like, yeah, like you come in, like we're losing people and stuff like that. You train hard, you work your ass off. Like you'll get the opportunity to play, and that's how it's going to be. And I think, was that like around of summer of 2020 into fall 2020 when like you officially transferred, or around that, right?
Yeah, that was about it. What just my first semester was fall 2020, I believe. Yeah, because my last semester was at the very start of quarantine, so I transferred that summer. So the whole, I know you asked before, the whole recruiting process, what it was like.
Yeah, but then with COVID, it's different though, right? So it's like
so the COVID protocol was, nothing in person at the time. It wasn't even you have to wear a mask 6 feet. It was all nothing. I couldn't see anybody. In fact, I didn't even meet coach until preseason when I came in. So I knew him for a year, and I had no idea what was going on.
Like no interactions.
Yeah. So we would talk on Zoom, we would text here and there, but other than that, I mean, it was just a bunch of, do you have a highlight tape? And a lot of it went through Besmere because I played at Jersey Crew for 2 years by then, two even 3 years with the men's team. So it really was just Besmere's judgment, because he's not going to take a highlight tape from when I was 18 when I'm 20 now. 20 years old going into that club. So it was really based off of judgment, and it worked out, but the recruitment process was so different compared to Kane, because when I went to Kane, there was no COVID. So I met the coach 100,000 times before the season started. So I would go on a tour, I would sit in on practices, I would sit in on games, and for FDU it was just so different because everything was held on a screen. Yeah, so it was a lot more difficult, but there was some sense of peace to it where I didn't have to worry about tuning into every single game or going to every single practice, because all it was conversations. So it really was. It was easier, but it was a lot more frustrating.
So then when did you exactly start playing? Did you play in the spring or was it fall?
No, so COVID in the fall shut everything down.
Yeah.
I didn't play in the spring, so I started actually this fall.
Okay.
So this fall was my first start with everybody. So we went in August, mid-August, something like that. And that was when COVID really started slowing down. I mean, there were still thoughts of the season might get canceled. We got to see what happens. But yeah, it was good fun. Preseason was awesome. Getting to know all the guys, swimming in the pool after the trainings every day. It was a great time. And then once that, preseason's gone, maybe a month into season, and we started getting COVID cases. Not the team, but like the school.
Yeah.
Once it hit the school, then it hit our team. So we had a few players on our team catch it. So instantly they didn't take any first or second step. They shut us down completely.
But the bigger problem was that they did. Was that the unvaccinated players had to wait when someone tested positive, everyone on the team that was unvaccinated was out the same amount of time as the people that tested positive.
Yeah. So
well, my question is that when you're unvaxxed, right? A lot of schools, they make you do weekly testing, no?
Yes.
Yep. Yeah. So they I mean, I'm vaccinated, so I never had to do any of that.
Yeah. Same.
Just a quick question before we move further: are your schools making you get the booster as a mandate to go back?
That's interesting.
We just got an email. We got an email.
Because I go to Montclair State, and Montclair is mandating that we have to get our boosters in order to go back.
Ramapo today also just just made it a requirement today too. My friend told me. So yeah, back on the unvaccinated players. So I remember in the first part, like when we were just talking earlier before the ad break, we went from getting ready with a 32 man roster to play. I forgot who we were going to play. I think it was Centenary.
Centenary or St. E's?
Centenary or St. E's. Something. No, it was Centenary, actually. We were getting ready to play them with a 32-man roster. They canceled us, so they canceled us on a game day.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
And we came back and we showed up to the game after 3 days of not playing.
Yeah, we
With
did.
like 21 guys or something.
Well, here's the question. So, how many of them had COVID, or how many of them were like injuries? I know at the beginning of the season, you guys lost a decent amount of players because of injury.
Yeah,
Yes.
we lost 2 guys who got COVID, who caught the virus. Another 10 or 11 guys who were unvaxxed.
Yep.
And then another 5 or 6 guys who were injured at that time. So, I mean, we lost 20 guys. So we really only had like 15 guys at training at a point.
Yeah, it was crazy.
I don't remember the exact numbers, but we had more than half of us were gone. More than half of us were out of commission for at least a week. Plus, you know, the guys like Ricky at the time who had the groin injury, the hamstring injury.
Yeah, it was injured.
Yeah, it was a lot
Drillin
of
was
our
out.
Drillin with the hip injury. We had a lot of really big time players that couldn't do anything.
Starting center back out.
Yeah, even if they wanted to. You know,
Strikers, you what?
Sam with the knee injury, Ricky with the groin, Drillin. These are all top flight players that could have killed for us. You know?
I mean, Drillin, he was a freshman coming in. I've never seen a freshman make an impact like that. Ever.
Oh, he was great.
Yeah.
He was great. But that's where the excitement comes in for next year. You know, 'cause he's still got a few years left in him. But what sucked was that he lost his whole season just for our first game of the season. You know.
Yeah, but the thing I do have to say is that with FDU, right, this time around, Keith or Coach O'Connor, he has like a full, like, let's say like transfer window of like recruiting players that like he's recruiting for the program. So do you guys know anybody that's coming in right now, or what do you think about what's exactly happening at the moment?
I don't know. Not that he doesn't let us in, but it's really not like talked about between the coaches and the players about like who's coming in, and that may not even be like a secret thing. It's just not really talked about much. I know Besmir talks to us about there's a really good goalie coming in, which we have quite a few, but we're losing 2, right? We had 4, we're losing 2.
Well, you're losing
Dylan and Cam.
Dylan and Cam.
Who's the guy that looks like Carius? That's your goalkeeper.
Tiernan.
Yeah, you're losing Tiernan.
He's actually staying.
Oh, he's staying? Oh, be careful. You gotta be careful pulling on the cables there, guys. So you gotta like push it up.
Guys, that's this guy.
Bill Nye the Science
Okay.
Guy?
We're good now. We're good
Yeah,
now.
we're good.
All right, so short little break. So we're keeping T. We're keeping JD.
So how is Tiernan staying, if you don't mind me asking?
I think he just has a 5th year.
So does he have like extra year like eligibility like you do, Ken, or?
So he has an extra year because of COVID.
Okay,
Oh,
so
yeah.
he doesn't. So does he have to attend the university for the extra year, or is he guaranteed that?
No, I think you still have to attend.
You have to
the
take.
saw-
You have
but I think
to-
he was
yeah.
staying regardless.
Okay.
So
Yes.
I think he was. It's just
Get
like
a
his
master's
opportunity.
program. Yeah.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
So yeah, we have him, and we have JD. But other than that, I mean, you can't carry 2 goalies. You know, if someone gets injured,
Yeah.
who's going to be the backup?
Even
so
for practice purposes.
yeah. So I think we're bringing in another one,
It's too much work.
at least one, which is exciting. I'm sure we're bringing in a couple new
Yeah.
guys because
Yeah.
I mean, dude, the way that Keith O'Connor, Mr. O'Connor, Coach O'Connor, or whatever, Besmir and Meeker, they do a great job. I mean,
Well, here's the thing, like, so I think O'Connor's done a really good job of building a coaching staff where it really does tailor towards the players, right?
oh yeah,
Because I think that's probably one of the most underestimated things in college soccer, right? It's like a lot of times people focus on the players, but in reality, that coaching staff makes or breaks your program.
I got
And
tell
that's
you,
that's
yeah.
within college, within club, even within the professional game. Like
Yep.
your coaching staff makes or break however your season goes.
Yeah.
100%.
And I got to tell you, man. I mean, and we've talked about this. I mean, there's a point in everybody's career where they're gonna be upset with their coach. You know.
Yeah.
But dude, I got to tell you, man. Bringing in guys like I'm just gonna name some guys that I've played in high school with. Bringing in Drillin, Johnny. I'll put me in that. Yari. Brian Osorio, he's bringing in some top class guys all to the same
players,
school,
really top
and they're
players.
all getting along.
Yeah.
It's crazy to
I
me
think
how
also
well he
they
does.
help with building the culture for the team, right?
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
that's also another big thing, right? It's that it's tough to get performances together if everybody just hates each other. Like
Yeah.
if they look at each other like, oh,
Yeah, and that's the thing. We're building real friendships with
Yeah.
that, and it also
100%.
really helps that Besmir and Meeker especially are so involved with playing with us when we were in high school. So not playing
Yeah.
with us, but like
sort
we
of
knew
like
Coach through-
tailoring your guys' experience.
Yeah, so it's not like I went in and I met Besmir in college. Like I knew him through my club coach. You know, he was coaching me for 3 years. So they
Well, this was before you were playing college, right? 'Cause,
yeah
like,
way
so, like,
before I was in college.
it-
I'm
this
talking
was-
Jersey Crew,
yeah,
like in high school.
Yeah, like in high school,
Yeah.
this is what I was talking
He
about.
he was always such a great coach, great
Yeah.
role model, and I met Coach Meeker through him once I got to FDU,
Mhm.
and realized, dude, they're the same. They are exactly the same. They
It's
just they
crazy.
bounce off of each
They
other.
click, yeah.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, it's awesome too. You know, the coaching staff did a crazy good job, especially getting a bunch of guys who can just click together.
Yeah, and I was fortunate enough to be able to like do some observations with
Yeah.
your guys' team.
I remember. Yeah.
Yeah, which was a great time because I had to do like a whole entire like I had to like break you guys, like I sort of had to like treat you guys like sort of like a case study and not like people I know, right?
Yeah,
so
yeah, 'cause
it was really tough.
I remember you'd be walking through the training session, and we'd be even having like a fun day. You know, and I couldn't just go up to you and be like, "Artie, what's up, man?" You
Yeah,
know,
but you would mess with me a little bit. I know you were trying to break my focus. you would try to. You would
as,
try to like.
as long as coach isn't watching this,
Yeah,
yes, I did mess
exactly.
with you. But for the
Oh,
record,
man.
coach, no, I didn't.
For the record, no.
but yeah.
no.
But yeah.
Allegedly.
So
allegedly.
you I mean,
Allegedly.
you got to see, I got to see because we were always in the training. You even got to see it too. Just the way that they like encounter with us, you know, and the way that we work with them. It's just it clicks, and that's why we did so
I
well
think
this
that's
season.
because
I think.
it's the new generation of coaches coming
Yeah,
through, right?
absolutely.
It's finally like that generation of like they're not just like they just coach sports, like they're like sports people. It's like
Yep.
yeah, they're tailored, specialized in doing this stuff.
They
right?
are
'Cause
soccer coaches,
as the audience has seen through Besmir, he's very knowledgeable.
Yep.
He knows his stuff. Like he knows how to put together teams. He knows how to like interact and respond with players, like, especially with him because now he's like the sporting director at
NJFC.
North Jersey Football Club.
Yeah.
He's dealing with kids just from ages like 12 to 13 to like 18 and now even like
No
21
college.
22 year olds, right?
Yeah.
So it's all about knowing how to like properly like get points across.
Yeah, they do a great job.
And
with
even
it.
with Meeker, like he was someone who I met brand new and who I've sort of interacted with a little bit now, and seeing the way how he interacts with players, seeing like his viewpoints of the game, it's like that's a crazy thing, right? Because if you look at Meeker, Besmir, and O'Connor, all three of them technically, like if you look at like down to the technical, 3 different playing styles of how they would coach a team.
Oh yeah,
But
Yeah.
yet
Oh,
somehow
absolutely.
they're able, Besmir and Meeker are able to tailor themselves to how, at the end of the day, how Coach O'Connor wants it done
Yeah.
because he's the head coach,
Yep.
right? That's what he sees fits best, which you can't blame him, right? He's had a very good like CV. He's really like well renowned, like really, really good coach.
Yeah, and I mean, this is my opinion. I mean, but it also comes with a great like level of balance. You know, it's not all three of them want you know, a player coach mentality of strictly business, pass the ball, put the ball in the net. You have Meeker, who's so good with the players. You know,
he is.
If someone's morale is down, you sit down with Meeker for 5 minutes, you're going to be top.
Well, he also like teaches in high school, right?
Yeah.
So he knows how to like deal with people regularly.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah.
He's really great with people's. I mean, he's also, I got to tell you, brilliant soccer brain. Brilliant brain. But he's so good with the players. Then you move into Besmir when you're in training, who Besmir and Meeker really run a lot of the little drills.
Well,
and
that's
stuff
sort of
like
like
that.
how like assistant coaching works, right? So people who don't know, like the head coach is like the guy who's like on the outside, like who will explain to you the big sessions of how he wants things. But then your assistants are the people who get down and dirty with the team, right? Who interact with everybody, who do the little minute things within sessions.
Yeah.
And I think, but even with O'Connor, when I've seen, it's like he still has a nice balance of that. Like he still likes to get a little bit involved, just to show like, hey, I'm not this like I'm not this overbearing figure who's all the way out here telling me what to do. Like he's still somewhat involved.
Yeah, and he even, I mean, Besmir and Meeker especially, but O'Connor even got involved with playing with us. You know, even if it's just hopping in goal. You know,
he loves to hop in the drills.
He loves to hop
it's
in
awesome
the
when he
drills.
does. It's awesome
because it'll go from playing a little possession game, and we'll do something wrong, and he'll scream at us. He'll say, "Guys, you know, don't do this. Do this correctly." Some people will be flustered by it, and then he'll hop in the drill, and he'll start playing with us. And we'll do like, I'll make one mistake. He'll hop in the drill. I won't make that same mistake again, because instead of like you said, like some just like overshadowed big dude that's just like screaming at you from the outside, he comes in and he says, "Yo, do this," and you can see it. You know,
visual,
visualize
because
everything.
like someone like him, it's not like he's some like coach who like was just like knows the game. Like he was a very well renowned like player back in college.
The word was he was a Division I striker, which is a crazy role model for me. You know, it's awesome. So
because I even saw one day in one of your sessions, he just like he gets mad because like I think you guys were like struggling with like a finishing drill, and he just like bangs it top left corner back of the net.
Oh my God, he has a strike.
I know, and I was just like I couldn't fathom it. I was like I was not expecting that to happen out of nowhere.
He gets angry at the finishing sometimes because, you know, that's his position.
Yeah,
he's striker. He's very passionate about that aspect of the game, and like
I think because also he has. As a coach, he has high expectations for you.
Yes,
right?
He does.
Oh, absolutely.
So all he wants is nothing but the best for you and for the team.
Yep.
So when he sees something that's just not going right, he just gets frustrated because he knows you guys can do better, right?
It's not even. I mean,
well, not really frustration.
I was gonna say I think it's a frustration, but it's not like a personal frustration where he's saying like, "Come on, guys, just do what I want you to do." He knows we can do better, you know, and which honestly, towards the end of the season, we really ended up doing. You know, it took us a little while, which is why next year I think
think that's because like you guys had such a long time out with COVID. It was hard just to get everything clicking with you.
Yeah,
because preseason you guys were doing very well, but it was like these teams in different conferences and like they play way differently than the conference you guys play in. So it was tough to find that right balance for players.
Oh man, yeah.
So then Kenny. Sadly, this was your last season. Yeah, you're not going back. What's something that you allegedly, maybe he might surprise you, like surprise, like. But so, real quick, for anyone out there who's listening, what's like the biggest piece of advice you could probably give to a college athlete?
You know, that's really crazy because I do think about it a lot. You know, the best advice to give to like high school athletes that want to play college and college athletes right now, and one of probably my biggest advice that I would give is that to really never take anything for granted that's given to you, because you never know what could happen. You know, a lot of people that I played with didn't come back after COVID, so their last game for FDU for their career was like 2 years ago. They never got to play again, and not only that is for some of the players returning, I would definitely say, for playing time and just being in the team is to not take anything for granted, and that you have to continuously work hard, because I could see it that, you know, in high school players can get away with, you know, being an upperclassman and almost having like a guaranteed spot. In college, and in the professional life, That's really not the case, and it's never the case, especially, and it starts here with like college soccer, is that you could be the starting player one day, play a full 90, but something could happen. Someone plays better than you, or if you're injured, you miss 5 minutes, someone comes in and plays better than you, you could lose your spot. And nothing is guaranteed, and you shouldn't take anything for granted. Every game that you play, it's really just like, for me, I always, and I'm not to get too religious, but I am a religious person. So every game for me, like, I would always say a prayer, starting the game, halfway through, halftime, after the game. For me, I was just blessed to be able to play every single game, because I ended up playing around 54 games in my career, in the 50s, and I started about like 46 or 40, the mid 40s of them. So, like, I got so much experience playing, and it was really one of the best decisions I made to play, too. But I also knew, like, I was one injury away from not stepping on the field again. That injury could have happened the first game of my career or the last. And it's really how, like, people say, like, the pro athletes are. It's really just, like, you have to have hard work and determination every single day. From the day you start playing college till the day that you end, you have to give it 100%. And it's also how you treat yourself off the field too. And for like injuries, every day I was, in the trainers, I love doing the ice baths before game, eating right, taking care of your body, getting proper sleep. It's just, you have to have hard work and dedication from the day you step on the field, you come to college soccer, and the day you end, because nothing's guaranteed.
Yeah. Yeah, and that ties into to what you said with don't take anything for granted either. I mean, look at me. I went through preseason at Kane, injured myself, lost sight for the game. Yeah. And I just completely took it for granted. I just sat around, did nothing. I had one more opportunity through you. I took it. I'm happiest I've been ever since. And that's like a lot of kids in high school going into college. They got to realize, it's tough. It's tough.
It definitely
is. Tough sport. Playing especially college soccer is really all about just like mental force. If you got to get after it. If you're not going to get after it, the coach will tell you suck. I've heard it 1,000 times. Especially at Kane, he literally just said you're dead weight. So you got to put in all the work you can, man. And it's worth it in the end, though. Way worth it. When I scored my first goal,
I'll never forget that too.
Against Rowan, it was the craziest moment of my life, because I put in, that
top team in the country.
Yeah, that
one and a half,
even 1.5 months. That's all it took of work. Took one chance, and I will never take that moment for granted. It was awesome.
That was epic.
Pause for one moment, because I have one more thing to say.
Very clean.
Yeah, so as you were saying before, Christian, so what are your expectations for this upcoming season for FDU?
Conference. My number one thing that I think of seriously every night before I go to bed is winning a conference. That's the only thing it's the only thing I care about. I will score one goal, I'll score 100. I'll get 1 minute, I'll get 1,000. It doesn't really matter to me. I just want we started our season 6-1 or something.
6-2,
6-2, 6-2-1. Yeah, so we knew we were a good team, and then conference we crapped the bed. So I mean, everything fell onto. We still had a great season.
We had a really good season.
There was a lot.
Games.
It was a lot of his situations where it's like, if you just weren't missing that one guy, or if you just had a proper rotation.
Exactly.
There was a lot of like unfortunate like situations happening.
It's just at the end of the day, it was stuff happens. Yeah. It happens, But we had such a great high and such an even worse low. So I think realistically, everybody that I've talked to, which is most guys on the team, all have the exact same goal, and that goal is don't crap the bed in conference. Let's start good. Let's start on that high, and let's stay high. Let's get higher. Let's go up and
just sort of exceed your own expectations.
Exactly, and that's I'm sure that's what the coaches want too. Especially after it was a tease. We started so well, and conference we were going in. We were ready. I'm telling you, we were ready. With the COVID stuff, it's minor setback, but I think everybody has the exact same goal. So to answer your question, it's strictly conference. I want to win the conference. That's all it is.
That's all you want, conference.
Yeah,
you don't care about scoring goals, nothing. It's just all team for you.
No, it's dude. If I walk away from my college career next fall, right? with 10 goals in my pocket.
Yeah.
What's that going to get for me? You know, the school's not going to say, "Oh, look at you, our best athlete." If we win the conference, when was the last time FDU won a conference?
Never won a conference.
To be a part of that is outstanding. Yeah, that's amazing. So that's what I want to do. I want to win the conference.
For
man.
sure.
Awesome.
And then for the spring question, so is there what's going on in the spring for you guys then?
So right now we have pretty much going through winter break into the first few months of the spring semester. We just have a lifting program, so we're gonna be doing just our own lifts at home. Maybe playing with each other, in pickup and running. A lot of endurance, a lot of strength and conditioning, pretty much. And then I think it's March we go back into training, right? We have a couple weeks of training, maybe a few scrimmages, and then that's it. And then it's summer, and we're right back into business.
Okay, so I didn't know if you guys were gonna have like sort of like a spring season.
Oh well, with COVID, I don't know.
Yeah,
I have no idea. We haven't gotten a word yet, so I guess we'll have to wait and see. Plan and hope for the best.
Exactly.
That's the best you can do.
And then just one thing, right? So Kenny, post college now, right? You're finishing up your last semester.
Yeah.
So what is your expectations with the sport now? Do you plan on continuing to stay within it, or do you plan on going on to better horizons?
And that's kind of one of the questions that keeps me up at night too sometimes, because this sport has been my life, and I never want to stop playing, but there is I have to make a decision where if I want to try to try out for like a competitive team and a high league and keep playing competitively, or just play in the Sunday leagues. And I haven't really made a prime decision yet. I also have some stuff in my personal life going on, like, I have the opportunity, to graduate, and I could be a full-time teacher in the fall. I have a business I'm trying to start with my friend. That could take up a lot of my time, too. I could even, possibly come back, try to get another degree or take some more classes. I'm really not set on anything yet. I would love to keep on playing, but at this point, I'm trying to just go day by day and just see where, just how my
priorities.
Exactly. Figure out my priorities.
So here's my question, though. So outside of playing, you still see yourself being involved as like a coach, maybe, or so? What exactly is going on within your other horizons within the sport?
So one thing I will definitely do most likely for the rest of my life is coach soccer. That's something, I'm passionate about the game. Like I said, it's my life, and even if I'm playing still competitively, if I stop, I'm currently coaching right now with North Jersey FC, and I absolutely love it working with Besmere. And that's something I know I'll always be doing on the side. I'll always be coaching soccer because I want to help out other people to live up to their full potential too. That's one thing I will, that I'm passionate about, and that's one thing that I will always be doing. I will always be coaching.
Yeah, you could preach that again. That's for sure. And then Christian. So here's the thing: how many more seasons do you still have left?
So technically,
for yourself.
I still have. I think 3 more years of eligibility. I'm calling it after this fall, though.
Are you?
Yeah. It just because I'm going to be graduating. Unless I go into grad school, but at that point I'm going to be 24. And it's just like at 24, it's not really my time anymore. I'll see if I want to go play somewhere else. Otherwise, I'll just get the old life started. But other than that,
that's the toughest thing to choose, right? Because like for me, I never got the opportunity to play in college, and it was sort of like, do I go back into playing for some club, Sunday league, or do I hop straight into coaching? And I think that was the first thing I did, right? Because I see it as like a progressive future for myself, not just as like some like side thing, right? I want to coach college. I want to get up there with the best, and I consider the best to be people like Coach O'Connor, Meeker, Besmere. I want to get to their level, even exceed it. So it's all about the hard work. And
it really is. And that it's hard to think about considering I still have the spring, 2 more semesters, and another season ahead of me. So it's a tough decision. It's hard for me even to think about. The future is super cloudy. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
All right. Well, all I can say is thank you. I appreciate you guys giving me your time. I was very, very, very lucky to have you guys on, and it means a lot. And is there any last thoughts you want to give out to the audience before you head out, or anything you want to promote?
I'll just say, kind of like how I left it. You know, if any of the guys on the team are going to watch this, kind of like my advice I have for you is that, you know, don't take anything for granted, and you got to really just have to have the hard work and dedication as a college soccer athlete and as a soccer player to work hard and work towards your goals. And, you know, whether it's winning the conference, going into the NCAA tournament, or whatever it may be, you just have to, everything you do in life has to revolve around it, and you have to put in the hard work and dedication every single day.
110%, man.
Mhm.
That's it. If you give 99, you know, people at 100% are going to fly past you.
Yeah.
So that's all I got. That's all I
That's
got.
it. Just 99%, guys.
That's it. Got to give 100. Got to give it.
Man. All right. Well, thank you guys for watching, listening, or viewing, depending on where you are. You know, you might be on Spotify, you might be on YouTube. Who knows? But tune in next week, because I think finally, after our little detour, we're getting our podcast that we asked for, the Liverpool podcast.
Nice.
I think our guests are in the clear. They're finally back in the good. So hopefully next week, I pray nothing happens, because something always happens here, that we'll have them back, and we'll have a great discussion. And if there's any other suggestions for topics, you guys are more than welcome to comment down below. Or if you guys want one of these guys to come back, we'll see what we can do. I'll find a topic to make it work.
Match week.
Match week.
Match week.
I'll see you guys. Peace.